Hello everybody and welcome to my Java video tutorial series on YouTube. My name is Jackson Bement and I'm here to introduce you to the programming language of Java. Alright, hey everybody. So we're back here with episode 3 of my Java tutorial series. My name is Jackson Bement and we're going to hop right back in where we left off with my first program. So last time we talked about making classes, we talked about making a main method, and we talked about print lines, which you can type stuff in and it'll print stuff out like hello. And just like that, we compile or save the program, tell it to run with voiding the main string args, and then hello. And then yeah. So right now, I'm going to teach you guys how to make variables. Now, variables in Java are kind of like variables in math, right? So in math, x and y kind of represent a number or they represent a place on a plane, like an xy coordinate. Similarly, Java variables represent and store information just the same. So we can make a variable and we can call this string because we're making a string variable. String, and let's say name. So string name semicolon because semicolon ends a statement, and so now we have declared a string variable called name. Alright, a variable can also be called an identifier. So in this situation we've declared a string identifier called name. Alright, so we can compile this and it works fine, but when we go to the void main string args, it doesn't really do anything. Alright, so just because we declared something doesn't mean it do anything, it just means it exists. To make it do stuff, we have to use the print line statement and we have to do a couple more things. Alright, so now that we've declared name, we can initialize name. Alright, so we can say name is equal to, and then we can do quote, type your name, my name is Jackson Bement, alright, and then we can put a semicolon to end that statement. So now we've declared name, so we've created name, it exists. Java has created a place within the memory to store this variable, this identifier, and now we've given this identifier information to actually store. Okay, so here we've kind of created the garage or the place for it to be stored, and here we've created the car that goes into the garage. Okay, so we've created the information to be stored within the variable or identifier. Alright, so now we can go to our print statement, and instead of having to print in a word within quotes, we can actually go in and we can type name into the place between the parentheses. Alright, we can compile that, void the main string arg to run the program, and then outprints my name. Alright, and this works this works because we are storing my name, Jackson Bement, within name, which is created and declared up here, and then we are putting name, which is the variable down here, and having it print out the information stored within name. If that makes sense. Alright, so you can put just about anything in here. You can type hello, it'll print hello. You can type a variety of things. Alright, now one thing to keep in mind is that the string is an object. Alright, so we can, as long as we have these quotes, we can type in just about anything, right? We can type in letters, characters, numbers, anything else, blah 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 blah, and it'll still compile, it'll still print that out, whatever we store within name. The problem is if we delete these quotes, anything we try to store within name will all of a sudden not work. Alright? For strings, we need these quotes. They have to be there in order for us to store information within them. Alright? Another thing I want you guys to understand is that when declaring and creating variables, we don't want these to be capitals. Alright? Alright? Java is case sensitive. So firstly, if you have name capitalized up here and name lowercase down here, it's not going to recognize them. It's gonna think those are two different things. But if we capitalize it, it'll work, it'll compile, it'll print out, and we won't have any problems. Alright, but in the programming world, you're not supposed to capitalize variables this way. Alright, so we want to keep these lowercase because capitalized words are usually reserved for special instances within Java, like making objects, like making classes, like we did up here. We capitalized my first program, alright, the very first word. In Java, when you're creating variables or identifiers, you want to make the first part of it, whatever it is, lowercase, and then you can either signify difference by capitalizing the next part or using an underscore. So for instance, if we have name first, alright, we have lowercase name and then capitalize F in first, alright, so we can read it easier, so we can read name first. Or if we wanted to, we could do first name, like that. Alright, the other thing we can do is we can use underscores, alright, to do information. So we can do last name, alright, just like that. These underscores represent spaces, but you can't just put a space here because it'll realize that Java will think there's a problem there. It'll think that these are two separate statements because of this space. So we need an underscore to represent the space. But most people are going to, while they're doing this, just have the first part lowercase and the second part capitalized. Alright, so we have first name, last name, alright, and we can do first name and then Jackson, and it'll be fine with that. Oh, we gotta fix this part over here too. Alright, and so we have that. So now we have first name, last name is declared, but again, because last name isn't instantiated, there's no information being stored within it. It's not going to happen, and because we're not printing it, it's not going to happen. So one other thing we can try and do is, what if we set last name to Jackson, and first name doesn't have any information stored in it? So what happens if we try to compile that? Okay, see how it gives us an error, and below here it says variable first name has not been initialized. Alright, so unless you create information to store within first name, or give it information to store within first name, it's not gonna let you print it. It's gonna give you a syntax error because something is wrong with it. It needs information in order to print it. One more thing to look out for, when you're naming variables or something, you can use numbers as well. So you can do name1, or we can create a string. So string name1, declare that, and then we can do string name2. So we can use numbers just the same, but they have to be all within a sequence. One thing you can't do though, you are not supposed to put numbers at the beginning of variable or identifier names. Alright, it'll give you an issue with that. Okay, so you cannot put numbers at the beginning of them. It will return an error. It won't even compile like it did earlier when these were capitalized. So all of these special ways of creating and naming identifiers or variables, they're important because Java sometimes will have errors, like in the instance of putting the number first. But in other situations, it's just the proper format to do things, right? If you don't do things the proper format, you could have issues later on. Kind of like writing papers and essays in English, you got to do it a specific way in order to have it right. And if you're going to go out and use this code and take this experience and use it in the real world, I just want to make sure you guys are doing things the quote-unquote right way, because you'll get recognized more. People will respect your work more. Being organized is a big part of this code, is a big part of Java and all programming languages. Something else to be aware of, alright, we declared first name up here, and down here we initialized first name, alright, and we initialize first name by using an assignment operator, which in this case is the equal sign, alright? So we're setting first name equal to Jackson. So the information on the right side here, which in this case is Jackson, is being stored within first name, alright? And we do this by using the assignment operator equal. We have to be very specific about using equals as an assignment operator, okay? Java is a very specific program. The code's all very specific. There's a way to write things, and it's the right way. Also, Java doesn't care about white space. So you see how we have spaces between all the equal sign and first name and stuff? We can delete those, and it'll be fine with that. We could use tab and make the spaces really big, and it'll be fine. We can even put it on a different line and have paragraphs and just tons of white space in between this place, and it'll still work. We can separate this out as much as we want, and it'll still work, because these parts, as long as they go together the proper way, they just work. Alright, so white space doesn't matter, but again, we want to follow that proper format. We want things to look good and dandy. Special tip, you can do Control-Shift-I, and it'll kind of fix some of your formatting issues if you're having issues with that stuff. So for instance, if I had everything all over the place and there were just tons of spaces everywhere and nothing's in a straight line, you can do Control-Shift-I and it'll put it back all in the same line. So that's just a fun tip to help you keep your code organized and in a quote-unquote proper format. So as you guys are continuing through these videos, you should also be continuing with your lessons on CodeCademy. As for now, we're going to begin our quiz. So first up, question 1 is, what is an identifier and what are the primary things you cannot do when creating one, specifically grammar and spelling? And question 2 is, what is an assignment operator and what do we use it to do? Last but not least, I want you to answer what this code produces and why. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.